understanding that it drives people to think the Mon Valley is different than any other borough. Think about it. When you hear from the Mon Valley, you hear McKeesport, you hear Clarendon, Duquesne, different little areas like that. That's the Mon Valley. But that shit go further than that. It go to Bell Vernon. You got all the way to Charleroi. You got all these different areas, okay? All these different areas are connected to this area called the Mon Valley. Now, granted, everybody is not going to care as much as the next person, but here's how you know there's an interest in what you talk about. You can't say you don't have an interest in certain things anymore, because I'll watch and see you burn on the internet. You're gonna say something, and one day you're gonna have a job, and the next day you won't, because you might say to me, "Oh, I don't talk like that. I don't have an interest like that." But your interest got you blackballed. Okay, that's because your talking points had to do with things that you claim you did not talk about, but you did, and that light will soon shine. So in a way, damn if you do, you damn if you don't. You damn if you don't say nothing, and if you act like you want to say something, just don't, because they don't want to hear it anyway. Cool. But there is a misconception. Politics in this brand has got people in position, and they playing the game. They playing the game to see if the Mon Valley is transitioning into a populist agenda. So meaning, all right, we fulfill so many deeds, so many opportunities in this area. I'm from actually Clarendon, PA, 15025. I actually worked in the mill like it's a playground, okay? Drove trucks in the mill like it's a highway. I grew up in Clarendon, PA, in dropping A, B, and C coal in the mill, picking up carbonite and dropping it off at dump. Can't tell me about something I played in. I played in it, not just worked in it. I breathed the shit. So here we go. We got a guy that goes and tattoos a slab on his arm, and he's part of society's endowment program. Meaning, go find something good to do with your life. And once you find that good, I will be a great parent, and I will enable you to succeed. I even have the education level to help you get a GED. That is the same thing I can do for people with intellectual disabilities. I can help you get gainful employment. There is no difference in getting someone a general equivalency degree or obtaining sustainable employment. That is how you become. Even Lindsey Graham said it. Yeah, we need to thank Cash Patel for lowering the temperature for becoming an FBI agent. You don't have to have an FBI degree. You can just come in off the street, and thank God for Cash Patel opening opportunities. So in one narrow-minded way, an individual actually tells you the plan of the playbook, and you don't listen to it because he's claiming he's a Republican. And by him saying he's a Republican, you're not listening to him. But mind you, I have a Democrat here. His name is Mr. Fetterman. Yeah, you don't listen to him either. You know how I know you don't listen to him? This guy is okay with the Mon Valley taking any more financial atrocity. No, I don't expect you to watch me as I say this. I like how people come back when they sleepy, tired, want to find a way to get my page banned, knocked down, subscribe, unsubscribe. Look, I don't care about that. I don't know your demographics. I know my demographics. And by me knowing my demographics, I know about the Mon Valley. See, the Mon Valley is way bigger than Connellsville. The Mon Valley is way bigger than Charleroi or any of those little towns in the backwoods that you're not talking about because they're not in Allegheny County, they're in Rostraver. And once again, Rostraver is not connected to Allegheny County, but they're trying to create a highway to make it more understandable with Washington County and Rostraver being so close to each other. Now, you don't see Fetterman running to the ball blast plant when that got a fire. You don't see Fetterman running to any other plant in the area The reason he did a Photoshop moment at the mill is because he has some constituents there that will vote for him again. But he really doesn't represent the Braddock neighborhood. The Braddock neighborhood, tell you how broke down it was. It was so broke down, they got rid of the hospital system because the addiction in the neighborhood was actually playing with their bottom line in the emergency room. So people was going to the emergency room to get opioids, pain pills, and etc. And the bottom line in the hospital that it cost too much money, so they closed it. I used to have a contract when I was driving yellow cab with that hospital, McKeesport Hospital and Jefferson Hospital. And I would drive the night shift. And I would use these tickets. And I would give these tickets back to Jerry Capolongo at Yellow Cab. And he would pay for my fare. That's how I know so well about the Braddock area. I actually did one of the last trips out of the Braddock Hospital at that time. I did. Before it closed, I was one of the people that had to get people out that hospital. So I remember when they said, we're going to tear this hospital down and we're going to put a high rise in here and it's going to have people living in it. So they built this building, they tore the hospital down, and the building's empty. There's nobody living in this, couple people on top roof, but no businesses renting the area. Now we talk about making the tariffs and everything about it. Well, now Lordstown's a great example of fuck around and find out. So Lordstown got an agreement when Donald Trump was in office that they will contribute to the cobalt car regeneration of electrical cars. It was the biggest boom since popcorn and caramel got connected and it was tasting like a Cracker Jack. So everybody believed that Lordstown was going to do its revitalization if you bring the cobalt car to Lordstown. So instantly, you know what I do? I go do some research. I go to the first restaurant in Ohio in Lordstown. I bust up in there and I get to eat. They got everything: chicken, cabbage, macaroni and cheese, candy apples. They got everything you can think of. So the demographics is working out in their favor because they're like, look, Lordstown has been revitalized and we'll be able to keep our jobs and we'll be able to keep all these stores and restaurants open in our local neighborhood. This is a blessing. A year later, the walls fell through because the foundation wasn't sturdy. Come to find out, we ain't gonna get that revitalization they promised us in Lordstown. What we're gonna get is departmentalization. We're gonna move some jobs over there, and I reckon we're gonna move some jobs over there. And I say this to say that. I tell everybody who's getting their back pay right now, because unions work. Unions work. But the problem with unions are they got a bottom line. If you go look at Yellow Court has to pay I think it's like 6.5 billion shortfall. The only thing they got left is assets. So their shortfall, they got to pay like, I guess, some billions of dollars to do a retirement plan. And the way that the underwriter wrote it, it didn't matter if they ass go out of business, this shit catch on fire, you're going to pay these pensions. But there's a cap. They can only pay up to $15,000 for how many years you work for Yellow Corp, whatever that is. Yellow Corp is shit. Yellow Corp is like the first trucking company in American history that had a distribution center on every block in America. It was the first intermodal unit of America's transportation. It was the way you distribute your merchandise with the wholesale price being as low as possible because we are a distributor and we can get it at the lowest price. So they had abundance of drivers. And as you notice, even though I talk about all these other things, I'm giving you points that Fetterman hasn't got to. Fetterman hasn't got to the area yet where he said, what do we have in our hands? We have the Mon Valley Consortium. We have the Mon Valley Initiative. We have the Homestead Act in our favor. And we have plenty of land and grid power to be a superpower in creating concentrated energy for solar, clean fossil energy because we have nothing but closed manufacturing up and down the road, and that is all through there. You know how I know you could do it? I'm driving past this place right now in Homewood. It's on Susquehanna. Susquehanna in Formosa Way used to be popping. But you know what? You can't say that about Susquehanna no more. You can't say Susquehanna has a negative trope about it no more. There's too many white men that come here and they're making dreams come true for other young black, white, green, purple, turquoise ethnicities that now you call that the Susquehanna Street 7800 block. And that's where you go to get an opportunity for your next job if you come from a different environment than the next one. Because I don't need to say, oh, you poor. How are you poor and you create violence? I've been talking for about, I don't know, however long, 11 minutes. I got a picture of some dude on there. I'm poor. What violence have I spoken of? What Secret Service agents I got? What special interest people I know? Think about that before you alienate a group of people that are only speaking what they know because they from there. You ain't from there. You's a transplant. You went to York. I don't think y'all know where York is. See, York is up on the turnpike, up yonder. You see what I'm saying? About an hour and a half from Pittsburgh. So York, PA is not even close to Braddock. So how you telling one man's story? How you talking about you gonna help a community that you don't even have any understanding other than what people have shown you in the news? Because you cool with the mayor? Because you cool with the people in the neighborhood that tell you that there's violence? Well, let's go back to that then. If it's okay to say that, you know Braddock don't have police. And if the police they got is like 2 or 3. So if we're going about law and order, if we're about calling in the reservists and the National Guard, you know, Woodland Hills is connected to the school that Grunk Mikowski went to play football at. Yeah, Grunk. Braddock. Yeah. I got more letters from Mr. Costa about young children getting killed, Mr. Fetterman, than I can read. I can send you these emails that I get every Saturday night, Friday night, after a football game. A kid gets killed. If you want to be the representation you say you are, then why aren't you fixing the things you say you represent? Is the question. I don't understand how you even get to speak sparse about not helping your fellow Mondalians when you know how decrepit the area is. Let's go. Mondali is so decrepit, you had an explosion that you want, y'all, that means the federal government, wants people to believe it was human error. You want somebody to believe it's human error. You want people to believe the explosion at the U.S. Steel building was probably human error. There was probably somebody using a high pressure hose and he sprayed it on the knuckle and the knuckle got so hot and the pressure combined and it just boom. You want somebody to believe that shit, right? But they don't tell you about all the other shit that happened a week prior to that. Motherfucker done got blew up, hand cut off damn near off a machine. No, they don't tell you that stuff. Fetterman didn't show up for the minor. He only showed up for the major because it was a publicity stuff. Just like he showed up in Braddock. When he showed up in Braddock, Braddock was falling apart. It was no representation. There was no hospital system. They were looking for someone to come in the community, be a voice, and bring a hospital. You know what he brought instead? Urgent care. Let's get this shit right. Do you know how expensive and how unresourceful an urgent care could be? Let's say you get hit with a stray bullet. Not saying you were involved in anything, because you know Braddock is very low income, maybe doesn't have all the resources you have in Cranberry. So something unfortunately out of your control happens. The closest hospital to you, so you just know, is Jefferson Hospital, okay? Or you could try to get your ass to Shady Side all the way clear across town with all the street lights. So you have to go through Homeville, Homestead, Route 51 to get all the way down near Jefferson to get to the Jefferson Hospital just to get care. Does Fetterman say that to you? And you know why Allegheny General had to buy Jefferson Hospital? Because it was a private hospital. Meaning that if you only have good enough fucking insurance, you couldn't get to the second floor. Because each floor costs, one floor costs $175. This floor costs $450. This floor costs $675, baby. Do you realize what insurance was then and what it is now? And Fetterman has the audacity to want to play with people's health care. He doesn't even have a solution. He's not even recommending an option. He's not even giving anyone an opportunity to let the shit simmer in an uncomfortable, sustainable state. He's allowing individuals to make decisions without anyone being able to mediate. But you pick this individual thinking he's fat, chubby, talks about the steel industry, got messy ass house. He's one of us. How can somebody be one of you when he's not even from your demographic? You know, I know some Caucasians that are hard ass fabricators. I know some Caucasians that are some cold-blooded landscapers. I know some Caucasians that will goddamn make you a transmission repair system so fast you would look back and say, Johnny's bad. Okay, Johnny's bad. Johnny's great. But you're not going to tell me that that great mechanic, that great goddamn pizza shop in your neighborhood, you don't rant and rave because that person is in your neighborhood and you just like that person. No, you support that person because you know that person's heritage. You remember when his dad used to have that pizza shop, and now his dad got his son working in the pizza shop. Now his dad passed away, and now you still go because you remember his dad. So now, who the hell is Fetterman? I mean, help me. When we play ball, we know your last name, right? Johnson, Gronkowski, Olowski, Smith. When did you ever smash a Fetterman? Think about this. You got somebody that lives in your neighborhood and their children went to private schools the entire time, and he said he was there to help your community. You can't get mad at somebody that's asking you, who is this guy? Who is this guy? That's it. Who is this guy? You picked him. You picked him. He came in your neighborhood. He poured money into it. But if you look back, why is there so much funding being cut in an area that he is not fighting for? Why is he the first one to say that's not the way to go by it? He's not a scholar. He's not a scholar of his task. He is a transplant that had a resource that put him in position. So I don't know who's going to go against him in the next 4 years, but I pray to God from the bottom of my heart, the representation looks like the Mon Valley. I don't give a damn if it's slick, stick, if it's Scott, if it's goddamn, I don't care who it is, Matt. I don't give a rat's ass. If your last name ends with some familiarity, I'm voting for you. Diablo, Snyder, Webb. If your last name fits our demographics, I'm voting for you. Get Fetterman the fuck out of there. He is undermining the Mon Valley in so many ways. It's just unimaginable. He doesn't even represent a feather. All right, where's Finleyville? And then when you get to Finleyville, tell me where Mineral Beach is. And then when you're done going to Mineral Beach, let's go down to Round Hill Park and feed the ducks. And when we're done feeding the ducks, let's go over to the bowling alley over there, right down on 51, and get some turkeys on them bowls. And then when we're done with that, we're going to go down to the candy store on 51, and then we're going to get on 70, and we're going to go to Willing. And when we go to Willing, we're not going to the Mountaineer. We're going to Willing Downs. Give me my demographics, goddammit. How did you pick someone that can't even get you to Deep Creek? How did y'all pick someone that doesn't take in consideration the transport it takes to move the coal from Deep Creek, Maryland, to get all the way down to Monongahela? Where is this guy? Who is this guy? You want a censor. I don't need to talk about anyone, unfortunately, because that's not my goal. My goal is to talk about the living. He's here. That guy lives on earth. That guy represents a certain class of people. So I can say and talk and represent my demographics. I don't have to say anything about anyone that's not living right now. That has nothing to do with me. But I can talk about this man that says he lives and represented a neighborhood that he really didn't. Because now when we need him the most, he's telling the most isolated, underserved, underprivileged group, y'all just gonna have to wait a little bit longer. When they've been waiting over 60 years, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. A neighborhood that's been waiting for service, waiting for representation for over 60 years, has voted for an individual, I guess, that didn't get the fucking memo, who doesn't realize that we used to have GM in our neighborhood, who doesn't realize that all those jobs were circumvented when steel left. And you have the ultimate neighborhood to show America we can fix our grid, we can fix our infrastructure, we got the rivers, we have everything in our hands. But instead, you want a grandstand so you can get brownie points, so you're able to switch affiliations without being called out, because you really don't represent the Mon Valley. You more accustomed and more aligned to the Rostraver and further outline, because you know the drawing of Allegheny County encompasses that next level of separation. So you really don't represent the Allegheny. Someone taught you this. Someone got the information and told you. How can you be a silent card in a demographic that no one will? You're in an area where the education has been. Fuck Clairton, Charleroi, white people that cut all the funding. The parents are just devastated. They just moved in that area because they lost their jobs in another area, so they moved there and bought a house, and now they voted for all the special ed teachers, and there's no taxes. There hasn't been any taxes in the Mon Valley. This is why I say this man is disingenuous. He's from York, PA. If you follow the timeline, this man is an hour and a half in our direction. So he knows about Deep Creek. He knows about the demographics of where this, but it's a Republican area. It's more conservative, rural America. And he's being dismissive if he allows everything to go on in rural America and suburban, because suburban America is more like the Mon Valley. So to misrepresentate what you were representing is a slap in the face. How I know? I go to church and been a member of the church for a very, 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 very long time. And Fetterman isn't doing much for the community. The same churches he said he would save, didn't save. Anyway, so we're just going to go and back to, you speak as if you have the right to hold people's health care hostage. But you're speaking to your same constituents that depend on that same entitlement program because of legacy costs. Legacy costs built this country. Legacy costs is because you got bridges, you got Eiffel Towers, and crazy-ass infrastructure. Because without the legacy costs, you wouldn't have had the stories you could tell today.